Another weekday, another teaser for DLC 4 in Black Ops 4 Zombies, and this has pretty much been happening daily on weekdays ever since Tuesday of last week. And I think from Tuesday to Thursday last week, we got a ton of image teasers, which were really cool. And then at the end of the week, we got what I now believe to be only half of the intro cutscene, which we're probably going to get the other half to that maybe later this week or next week. I'm not sure, but regardless, if you guys did miss any of those teasers or breakdowns of intros or anything like that, any of my videos, then they'll all be on cards in the videos and down in the description, links down there, and also just on my channel. You can find them all there. But regardless, we need to talk about the teaser that we got today, because we actually got two, and one was in the form of a profile picture change that Treyarch did, and that is interesting. That one I want to get into, but we'll get into it after this one, because you know, the other one I think is slightly more important. And what this one is actually a tweet from Treyarch, and it's not an image tweet teaser like we were getting last week. We actually got a short 9-second video on Twitter, and I'm going to play it for you guys. But like I said, this is a Twitter video, and Twitter doesn't understand what quality means when it comes to video, and it's just ugly is what I'm saying. So I do apologize for that, but that's on Twitter, not me. But regardless, I'll play it for you guys. It's a 9-second video, and then I'll explain exactly what's going on right after this.
Log entry 1469, date August 28th, 1945.
So let's first talk about what we're seeing in this, because that is slightly less important. And I mean, honestly, I can't tell you much of what we're seeing, like what any of this means. It just looks like it's some sort of jail cell with a broken wall, a light over there. And the good news is that this looks like an area we've never seen before. And the reason that's good news is because now we have to start talking about what the audio actually means. And this audio probably confirms some people's worst fears for DLC 4, but then again, for most people, it probably just confirms what we expected. And what actually happens here is Ultimus Richtofen says something that, if you guys have been following the story since Black Ops 1, or at least listening to the radios in Black Ops 1, you would have recognized this immediately. And it's where Richtofen says, log entry 1469, date August 28th, and this is something that we heard over and over again in the Dear Diary Richtofen radios back in Black Ops 1, and I gotta say it was inside Call of the Dead. And if you guys don't believe me, let me just read you guys the start of just one random radio inside Call of the Dead, and it starts like this: log entry 1474, date September 20th, 1945. Dear Diary, it would seem that the OSS realized that we have captured one of their spies. And I mean, that goes on, he's talking about Peter McCain, but regardless, I mean, at this point, it's probably confirming that we are going to be going back to Call of the Dead, and it's going to be a remake, because we're getting a radio that starts exactly like they did inside Call of the Dead. So, I mean, it just seems like it's just nothing but that has to be the case. So, you know, it seems like we could probably say it's pretty much almost officially confirmed we are returning to Call of the Dead. But actually, for what he's saying in this and the dates he's giving, they're actually a little bit interesting, because he says log entry 1469, which we actually don't see any of those entries inside the Call of the Dead entries. I mean, the lowest number for entries or log entries is actually 1473. So this is actually 4 entries before the first one that we heard inside Call of the Dead, so that's something to take note of. And also, it happens before any of the dates of any of the log entries before this, because the one that we heard said August 28th, but the earliest one that we had during the Call of the Dead radios was September 2nd. So, you know, this is happening before all of them, and this is what makes me a little bit curious about this, is if this is a radio like we heard in Call of the Dead, and they're going to be kind of doing the same thing. I mean, what exactly are we going to hear? Because this has to be from the original World's Richtofen or Ultimus Richtofen before any of this happened, right? So what's exactly going to be going on with those radios? I'm not entirely sure, but regardless, it just seems like there's going to be radios all over again, very, very similar to what we saw inside Call of the Dead. And because of that, I mean, it seems like we're going to be returning to Call of the Dead. And if that doesn't like really convince you that we're going to Call of the Dead, I mean, I just gotta do it. I gotta read off what the caption of this tweet was of this video, because it says, The Past Awakens, hashtag Black Ops 4, hashtag zombies. And I mean, again, if this doesn't confirm it for you guys, I mean, I don't know what will. It seems like this is the official confirmation that we are going to be going to a remade Call of the Dead. I mean, with the mixture of the tweet saying the past will awaken, the radio that is pretty much just exactly how the Dear Diary radio started inside Call of the Dead. I mean, it just seems like it's nothing but the case that we are going to be returning to Call of the Dead. But regardless, that's not where all the teasers ended today, because today we also saw a new Twitter profile image for Treyarch, and I'll actually put it on screen, but then again, keep in mind this is a profile image, so it is, you know, not the best quality, but we're still going to look at this because right here we see something that we've actually seen before, because we've seen the Samantha, I guess, music box in the past. I think it was a side Easter egg for the Rise in the Rocket or Revelations. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I can't be bothered to look it up, but regardless, the point is that we are seeing this all over again, but there's a major difference from what we've actually seen from in the past compared to this, because it still looks like a music box, but the difference is that it looks like someone's holding it. You can see a first-person view of someone's hand on the music box, and this would make you think that you could hold this, and this has led a lot of people to believe that it's some sort of equipment, maybe going to be the new monkey bomb or something like that, or just something, you know, a new equipment or weapon that we could use against the zombies, and that could possibly be the case, but I personally don't think that's the case, because I can't really imagine what it could do except be a monkey bomb, which, I mean, why would you do this? I mean, the monkey bomb just fine. So what I actually think is more likely is that this is going to be a part of maybe a side Easter egg, or maybe even the main Easter egg. It's going to be one of the steps that you're going to somehow use this music box, and you're going to pick it up, and when you pick it up, you're going to look inside of it, and it's going to start playing, and you're going to have to do something with it, again, rather during a side or main Easter egg. That's what I personally think is the case, but again, I could be mistaken, and it could just be some sort of equipment. But regardless, there still are other things in this image on the left of this image, and again, the quality of the image isn't great, but what you can see is what looks very similar to the Samantha drawings in the Rise in the Rocket, but I don't actually recognize them as any of the same images that she drew inside the Rise in the Rocket. I think these are new, but you could definitely tell that these were probably drawn by Samantha just because of how they look. But the last thing I could say about this image is the location where this is, because we could probably all agree that this is probably in-game just because of the first-person view, but the area behind it, I think it's nice to say that I don't recognize it as anywhere in Call of the Dead. I don't think we had any building-looking areas, because this looks like it's inside a building. At least that's what it looks like to me, and I think what really confirms it is that if you look at the very top of this image, you can see some of the image of a 935 logo, so it looks like there's going to be a 935 facility somewhere mixed in this map, and it's going to be a part of this Call of the Dead remake, which really does give me excitement, because they may be changing Call of the Dead a lot and make it not very similar to what we saw inside the original map, which is what I'm really hoping for. But that's all I could say about these teasers, and I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking about all this. Are you guys excited for what you're seeing? You guys liking it? What are you guys thinking about this unofficial confirmation that we're going to be returning to Call of the Dead? I'd love to hear your thoughts in that down in the comments and all that stuff. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you guys are excited for DLC 4, then you guys know I'm going to be covering all of that. Probably going to be doing the Modern Warfare beta before it comes out, because that's cool, but I'm still definitely going to be covering everything DLC 4. So definitely like, subscribe, bell, share, and especially bell, because that's the best way to know when I'm actually uploading any of this. But that's about it for me, and I'll catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever it may be, and laters, guys.